And so when I say Chinese, I want you to scream out the nation that's associated with this. For example, if I say Chinese, you're going to say what?
China.
All right, let's say it with authority. When I say Chinese, you say what? China. All right, that's just a test right there. So here we go. Chinese.
China.
Russian.
Russia.
Italian.
Italy.
German.
Germany.
Swedish.
Sweden.
Korean.
Korea.
Egyptian.
Egypt.
Nigerian.
Nigeria.
Black.
Nothing. Tell him, Pastor. Tell him, Pastor. Black, nothing.
I hope you were able to successfully identify the issue.
The lion won't sleep tonight. 'Cause we woke now, and we woke now. I said the lion won't sleep tonight. 'Cause we woke now, and we woke now. They want us to sell our souls to barter profit. Like God's property, it's hard to market. So we steady to aim, keep your eyes on target. Cause when you got to drive, yeah, they'd rather you park it. But I don't valet, you ain't getting these keys. I'm keeping closed hands, I'm on bended knee. I'm just a reflection, dealing with 8 sections. Art mixed with life, you can feel the convection. Your lion won't sleep tonight. 'Cause we woke now, and we woke now. I said the lion won't sleep tonight. 'Cause we woke now, and we woke now. I said
the same people that have stripped us of our identity and labeled us as a color have told us what it means to be black and the vernacular that we're supposed to have. Planned Parenthood was made by Margaret Sanger, a known eugenics, with the KKK to control the Jew population. When I say Jew, I mean the 12 lost tribes of Judah, the blood of Christ, who the race, the people known as the race black, really are.
Hitler was, and the Nazis, of course, expanded on Margaret Sanger's approach to eugenics, right? Eugenics was a movement that was born in the United States under hard doctrines of racism with the intent of eliminating the tribe of Judah in the African-American community in this country, right? To eliminate them.
We're finishing now part 2, chapter 2. And what we've said so far is that people have free will and their actions are, some are good and some are evil. And by the way, the Rambam writes explicitly that everyone has some good actions and some bad actions. Everyone. And he takes it for granted that there'll be a variety. We talked about the fact that this world and the next world are asymmetrical. The next world is where the majority of a person's actions, which determine his identity, are compensated. For the righteous, they exist in the world to come and they're rewarded. And for those whose major complexion is black, are excluded from the world to come.
Stop telling people you're chosen. You are not chosen to do ish, except within the synagogue of Satan.
And you know what else, Jim? I just want to say this to our Christian friends, just to call it as it is and say it straight out, you guys are worshiping one Jew. That's a mistake. You should be worshiping every single one of us because we all die for your sins every single day. And that's exactly what's going on here. Yeah. We're all God's firstborn, and we're dying for your sins right now because the Jewish people in the land of Israel are the bulwark against the orcs. Mm-hmm. Okay? The orcs are coming not to a theater near you, but to your home.
And here's what I would like to say to you, Rabbi, since you're quoting scripture, okay? The one that's relevant to me is woe unto them that call evil good and good evil, that put darkness for light and light for darkness. And if you'd like to dive into a little more scripture, I think what's relevant is Revelation 3:9. Behold, I will make them of the synagogue of Satan, which say they are Jews and are not, but do lie. And I'm speaking directly to you, Rabbi Shmuley. Revelation 3:9. Behold, I will make them of the synagogue of Satan, which say they are Jews and are not, but do lie.
Revelation 3:9. Behold, I will make them of the synagogue of Satan, which say they are Jews and are not, but do lie.
And I'm speaking directly. And all they had to do was control our textbooks and keep us all fighting each other. And you're out here talking about what the white man has done. Who do you think tried to genocide the white man in Europe, right? Yeah, take a look at that. I keep telling you, watch that PBS documentary that they came after me hardcore for speaking about. What the savage piece? Yeah, those are your ancestors, guys. Yeah, you are European, like white European.
There are Ashkenazi Jews who are entirely European. There are Ashkenazi Jews who are entirely European in their DNA. That's why you're not allowed to have a DNA test in Israel, because it will reveal that virtually none of them are Semitic, virtually none of them have any ancestral connection to the land. I was viciously assaulted by a manager in the BBC who had recently converted to Judaism. It's fine. I love all religions. But you can't say I've now converted to Judaism and therefore I have a right to go to the land of Palestine and live in the house of someone whose ancestors have been living in it for thousands of years.
Current day Israel is not the bloodline of the biblical Israel tribes. It is a totally different bloodline. Most of them are German, Belarus, Russian, Ukrainian. Current day Israel is not the bride of Christ. Current day Israel is not the religion of God's chosen people. Current day Israel is not the seed of Abraham. Listen, Jesus is the seed. Current day Israel is a fraud. This is important because we all know Christians, whether real or not, that say we have to support that Israel. Do you guys know what I'm talking about?
Well, did you accept that black people? You accepted that black people are Jew, or
I'll come to that in a moment.
The entire Bible is about black people. Not only was Jesus black, but every character in the Bible seems to be black too. Yeah, Zephaniah and Jeremiah and Jebediah, those all aren't white people names, okay? And Jesus wasn't some tan, partially melanated Middle Eastern person either. I'm talking straight up black dude, okay? Even in the book of Revelation, when you get the vision of Daniel, he's describing someone with feet like burnt brass and white woolly hair, and we've got the deep running water voice with the red eyes, and you guys, he's black. The Jewish people are black people, like Kanye was right.
You know what you are? You're an ancient Israelite.
Ancient Israelite, that's who we are. That's who we are. So if you give me time, if you give me time, how did he say?
No, we don't have
so many years.
I know. Look at this. This is pages and pages of notes. And I promise we'll give more teaching. But here is my challenge to you.
All right.
I'm hearing some of your traditions. It's like the days of the Bible.
Yes.
Do you want to remain ancient Israelites or you want to be Jews?
And the first thing I found out is this. I found out that they do not know their history. That's one of the things that I know. And so you have to tell them their history. So today I'm going to attempt to do that.
Genesis chapter 11, verse 10 explains the genealogy of Shem. Shem was a black man in Africa If you repeat this fact, they can't laugh at you. If you repeat this fact, they can't laugh at you. If you repeat this fact, they can't laugh at you.
I want to say peace and blessings to everyone. Hope and pray all is well with you guys. Hope and pray all is well with you guys. Apologies for the delay. Had some issues trying to get StreamYard to working the way that I wanted it to work with my uploads and all that. You guys know, like, been following me for a while. You guys know I like to have certain clips already lined up, laid out, so that way it can kind of flow with the lesson that I'm going to teach tonight. And we're going to continue with another discussion. And some of you guys have already seen some of the videos I uploaded about blackface and about slavery and those things. And it's always a certain group of people that tend to stay under the radar, right? And so I'm using the Candace Owens Christmas gift, so to speak, that she gave Ben Shapiro in her last podcast. She really threw the hammer down. She mentioned a number of things, and for me, I like to use that as a teachable moment, because we touched on what she covered already, was stating how they, when I say they, the 1948ers, that's what I'm going to use for the sake of censorship. You guys know how they do and been doing with this channel. So when you hear me say 1948ers, you guys know who I'm referring to. So the 1948ers always seem to get a pass. When you start really looking at the history, let's just start with our history. They seem to always get a pass. Have you guys noticed that? When we deal with history of enslavement, right? Now, right off the back, you see the Catholic Church, right? That's a given. You see the church, you see the Catholic Church, right? When I say the church, I'm referring to both the Christian Catholic Church, right? Because the Christian Church is nothing more than a branch that came from out of the Catholic Church. They don't honor the Shabbat, just like the Catholic Church. And when they had the opportunity, when they broke from the Catholic Church to honor the Shabbat, they caved and went right back into pulling over a number of the tenets. That's a whole nother discussion, that in itself. But, that's a given when we see about when you look at history in terms of not just history, but the movies. I'll go with the movies. You always see, for the most part, the Christian church. You don't really see a lot of the Catholic Church, but for the most part, you see the Protestant church when it comes to the enslavement of our people. You definitely don't see anything about the 1948ers. But when you truly study the history, it's a lot of layers of deception and cover up that's layered on it. So you have to really go into like the milk crate, so to speak, to really get to who's who. Right? So with the whole situation with Candace Owens and the whole turning point, that whole situation, it allowed Candace Owens basically to just blow the roof off of that whole organization, but also touch on much needed discussions, things that we in this awakening have been, we've been dealing with. We've been dealing with not just the 1948ers. We've been dealing with the Roman Catholic Church. We've been dealing with the Christian Church. We've been dealing against the Islams. We've been dealing with, and going against the conscious community. We've been going against a lot. And pretty much the things that she has been sharing, we've been teaching. We've been teaching this for years on top of years. And when I say we, I'm not just saying me per se, but I am referring to, others that are in this awakening, have been teaching this truth for years on top of years. So today, I wanted to use this as an opportunity for us, that whole situation, to touch on something that Candace Owens hit on. She hit on this. We regardless of whether you agree with her or disagree with her, one thing you have to give her credit is that she is doing something that is just unprecedented. What do I mean by that? She is getting 100,000 plus live streams, right? All at one time. I'm on the average, it's like 150,000. That's like going viral every time you do a video. The very person that got fired from the Daily Wire, literally gave her the business, right? Weaponized, saying Christ is king, all this other stuff. They really, left her out there to hang and dry. It looked like there was no recovery. And then when she did come back on the scene, she got demonetized. But never in a million years that you would have thought that this person right here is single-handedly giving all of them the business right now. She's taken the discussion about what we've been saying about who's who. We know that we're the true people of the book. We know, and we've been teaching about the devices that are out there, the agenda that is out there. But she took the discussion to another level, to the point that it has the Republican Party upside down, the Democratic Party upside down. They all are turned upside down because of what? Their support of, or not support of, because of the influence, the tentacles, the deception of the 1948ers. Now, I'm just believing that as they continue to cancel each other out, we'll have like a Jehoshaphat moment, right? We'll be able to go in and pick up the spoils, so to speak. And I want to make this clear. I don't roll with all that other stuff. But this right here, the whole discussion about who is and who is not, or who are not, the true people of the Most High, that's the discussion I like to continue to have. When Kanye West took the discussion to a higher plateau, guess what? You guys already know. I was going in on Kanye West in terms of, from a perspective of bringing what he's stating forth and giving clarity, using it as a teachable moment to continue to what? Push our plight forward. When Kyrie Irving, same thing. You guys could go back and see all the videos on it. I've been on top of it. This is what I've been doing. When Whoopi Goldberg, guess what? I'll use that as an opportunity when she made the comments that she made. So family, we gotta understand how to move and how to maneuver, how to take how to see opportunities and siege the opportunities and use it as a moment to be able to what? Teach. Because there's some people that just don't know and looking for answers. I'm sure that someone is asking the question, well, wait a minute, did she just say that they played it was connected to the transatlantic slave trade or World War? That's the real term it should be. Did she just say that they were connected to blackface or the Minstrels? Did she, we have to unpack those things, family. That's opportunities for us to use as what? A discussion. Right? And let me make it clear. I don't just rail on the Christian doctrine, because when I rail on the Christian doctrine, I start at Catholicism. We don't roll with Catholicism. We don't roll with Christianity. We don't roll with Islam. We don't roll with Judaism. We roll with the actual truth. The laws and the prophets, which today they call it the Old Testament, and the Renewed Covenant, which is the writings of the disciples, the writings of Paul, the writings of, of Luke, for us, Luke, the good news, as well as the book of Acts. We roll with that. But we don't deal with that religious stuff. Why? Because every last one of those religions, one commonality that we have with all of them, they have enslaved our people. So we don't roll with any of that. So I want to make it clear. No, I did not celebrate Christmas today. I speak against it. It's not biblical. Even the word Christ Mass. Mass means dismissal. We don't roll with that. Anyway, but we do roll with the truth of the text, free from all that other the layers of deception. And so with Candace Owens, guess what? The only way she's there, but she still got ways to go. Matter of fact, all of us still got ways to go. We're still unpacking this stuff. I'm still finding out that there's still layers of just how deep this deception goes. All right. So, but like I believe, you know what I mean? Like the old school would say, that she will have her come to Jesus moment. All right. We honor the Shabbat. We honor the feast days that belong to the Father. We don't do the Christmas. We don't do the Easter. We don't do the Thanksgiving. We don't do the Valentine's Day. We don't do the St. Patrick's Day. We don't do the 4th of July. We don't do none of that. We honor the very the feast days that the Most High said belongs to him. All right. So let's go ahead and get into it. We got a lot to cover. So I'm going to show a couple of clips here just to kind of set up this presentation the right way. But first, let's go ahead and just stretch the screen out. I want to say again, shout outs to everyone. Peace and blessings to everyone. All right. So let's get into it. Blackface, a long 1948er history. Let me say that again. And real quick, I want to say, be encouraged, brothers and sisters, those who are not honoring this stuff, these holidays that are man-made, that is filled with syncretism. If you feel like you're out there by yourself and you need a ministry to connect to, shoot me an email. If you want to start by being part of our Bible study, reach out to me and we'll shoot you a link so you can at least start connecting to a ministry. We are an actual ministry. We are not an online ministry. We are a ministry, a brick and mortar ministry that uses social media as a way of reaching out to others. Anyway, so let's get into it. Blackface, a long 1948er history. Let me say that again. A long 1948er history. A long 1948er history. All right. Now let me do this real quick. When I saw that, I forgot to do something here. One check. Let me just do a quick check here, family, because I just don't want the transitions to be. All right. Let me make sure these transitions are not crazy. And what I mean by that is transitioning from one slide to another. I don't want, the entire presentation to be filled with all kinds of, all right, let's see here, unnecessary transitions. And that can, for some, it can give them a headache. All right. So I want to make sure, let me double check. All right. All right, I think we're good. I think it was just, let me go to this other slide here that it may be okay. Let me fix this one as well. All right. And prayerfully that will help for those that may get headaches from the flashing of the screen, especially with the different transitions. So I try to keep it at a bare minimum. All right. Now, family, let me know if you guys can hear this video here. If not, I'll just play it. Here we go. All right, let me fix that as well. Nah, I ain't gonna mess with it right now. I don't feel like it. All right. Let me know if you can hear this. Oh, you know what? Let me fix it. Let me fix it. Because if it's here doing that, I know it's in another area. Let me do it real quick, family. Let me fix this slide real quick. Won't take but a second here. All right, let me do this one. All right, that's okay, cool. Let me check the other one. Initially, I was gonna let it slide, but now let me go ahead and fix it right now. All right, there we go. All right, that should do it. I had to do one more slide. There we go. Just to make sure we don't see this. I'm not going to give the name out yet, but this person right here, flashing in on every time you see this image. But let me know if you guys can hear this video here. Here we go. Let's get it going. If you can hear it, type 1. If you can't, type 2.
Black people just got to learn your history, man. You got to learn the minstrel shows, who's behind the minstrel shows. And
all right, did you guys hear that? If you heard it, type 1. Okay. So you heard Candace Owens say that we have to learn our history. We have to learn our history. And family, that's the ongoing theme, because if we don't know our history and we leave that blank space, leave that space that we should fill in ourselves by doing our due diligence and studying, if you leave that blank space, you're going to allow others to fill that blank in. And that's what's been happening, and that's what's still happening among our community. We have to really take the time out to learn history, truly learn history, free from these religious systems. And that's part of the problem. The hardest addiction to get over is poor doctrine. And when we're dealing with trying to really understand this truth, you have to understand the truth by making an assertive effort to understand it free from these religions. The church has conditioned so many people to feel like if you leave a particular church, you're leaving Christ. And I'm sure you guys been under that witchcraft as well. Pastors push that. If you leave their church, they'll have the members believing that you have left the Messiah. You have walked away, which you just left that ministry. But as a whole, they will lead others to believe that you walked away from everything. In other words, your relationship with the Father, the relationship with the Son, and that you reject the spirit of Yahweh, right? Which is transliterates to the Holy Spirit, right? So we proved that you don't need Christianity, you don't need Catholicism, you don't need Judaism, you don't need Islam to have a relationship with the Father, because guess what? Actually, that frees you. That frees you, okay? So let me play one more clip. You guys heard it in the beginning, but let me play both of the clips here so that way you could fully understand, and I hope you grasp what's going on here. Understand, as far as her comments about we need to learn history, because that's the same thing that this rabbi echoed here. Let me play it again about what this rabbi here. His name is Rabbi Messer. Let me play it again, and then I explain to you why, we need to learn our history. We need to learn it free from them telling us who we are and about us, and listen to his words.
If you cannot speak and talk about the history of who they are, then they will not really carry your story. They will not understand their story. So today, the first thing I was the greatest revelation I was telling you a while back, is that most people trying to reach, and I'm going to specifically talk today, and next week will be Spanish, the following week the Asian, etc. But I'm going to talk specifically today about the black culture. And I wanted to right now, I know, and how many would agree that I am not black? Can I get a witness, everybody? Amen. Praise God. Praise God. Pretty white to me. Can I get an amen up in here? Yeah. Praise God. Amen. So here's the deal. But what I want to share with you is I want to talk to you about is that, you know, we went across the country and we found out there's certain things that help reach that culture and reach it effectively. And there's certain things that don't make it happen, okay? And today I would like to talk about those things that do reach the culture, specifically the men of the culture. And the first thing I found out is this. I found out that they do not know their history. That's one of the things that I know. And so you have to tell them their history. So today I'm going to attempt to do that.
All right. Now, I have the full video in the lecture playlist, right, on this channel. And he said that, and I know a lot of our brothers and sisters have shared his video, and I don't think many have really listened to what he said, what he stated in his video. In his video, he said that we are the people of the book, right? When I say we, Negroes, right? Americans, we are the people of the book. We don't know our history. But he added something there. He said something that if you don't understand the history, you can fall into the trap. He stated that he and his people, right? They are they are Judah. They are the Levites. They are the Benjamites. And that we, our community, we are the northern kingdom. That's what he said. See, that's a deception so that way they can still maintain control. They can maintain control. Why? Because the first king of Israel was a Benjamite, right? I'm not sure if you guys know that. The first king of Israel was a Benjamite, and the Benjamites maintained a close relationship with Israel, even when they split up, when they divided, right? Then you have Judah. That's where the scepter, that's where the Messiah, that's the blessing comes through Judah. Then you have the Levites, the Levitical priests. These are what they consider to be tribes of influence, right? We know when initially Israel became a divided kingdom, 10 tribes went north, 2 remained south. Judah and Benjamin, the Benjamites remained south. Later, after Jeroboam just went way off the rails like King Solomon, then the Levitical priests, because he decided to create his own priesthood, they fled to Zion, to Jerusalem, and came up under the authority of Judah, the southern kingdom. So collectively, those 3 tribes are referred to as the southern kingdom. The northern tribes are, as far as the 9, are referred to as Israel. You'll also see them referred to as Ephraim. Also, you'll see the label outcast. Right? So I just want to make sure we understand this. So don't get caught up when you hear someone say that we're the people of the book. Because not only did he say that, that same Rabbi Shapiro that's with the Igbo elders, asking them the question, do you want to remain an Israelite, ancient Israelite, or do you want to basically transition over, give up that and become a modern 1948er, but come up under their authority? He teach that we are the people of the book and that we are little Israel. And he and his people are the big Israel. You see where I'm going at with that, family? So listen with intelligence. Shema'ah. In the Israeli is Shammai. Listen with intelligence. Discern. Don't just get caught up with some people or people saying, being very good at being, with being articulate, with saying certain things. Listen to the details. All right. And so that's what Candace Owens has said, listen with details. And I'm going to make it clear. We don't roll with the Quran. We don't roll with the Kabbalah. We don't roll with Judaism. We don't roll with the Talmud. We don't roll with the Mishnah. Don't roll with none of that. None of those are ancient writings. The Talmud is 5th century. All of those things came about after we were scattered out of 70 AD. None of those things are ancient texts whatsoever. I'm going to do a lesson. I may even do it. I may do it over the next. I may even do it tomorrow. To go over the calendar to show you how to properly calculate the Hebrew calendar all over again, but free from this so-called rabbinic era. Anyway, let me leave that alone. So let's go and get into it, family. Let's continue here. So you guys already heard the video about what Candace Owens said. I'll play it one more time and we'll start building on this because we have a lot to cover. We may do a little refresher on a couple of things that we covered in the last live. So let's go ahead and let's listen to what she said again about blackface, or should we say the minstrels?
Black people just got to learn your history, man. You got to learn the minstrel shows, who's behind the minstrel shows. And
all right, so here's a quote. Black people just got to learn their history, man. You got to learn the minstrel shows, who's behind the minstrel shows. That's a quote. That's her exact quote. I know exactly where she's getting at because we've been teaching this for years on top of years. So this is nothing new to us. We know and understand the depth of these words. But what I'm going to do, I'm going to be the prosecutor, right? And I'm going to present this to you. You guys are the jury. We're going to do what is called the presentation of the evidence. All right. So you are the jury. I'm just going to be the lawyer, the prosecutor who's going to present this evidence to you. Again, from the legal perspective, it is called the presentation of the evidence. All right. You guys good? All right. You guys are good. Okay. Presentation of the evidence. Okay. So let's go ahead and get started. We have to now see if this statement right here is true. So I'm not going to start off by saying, hey, it's true. No, and I am not going to start off by saying it's false. I'm going to present the evidence and I'm going to leave it up to you. And what we're going to do, and matter of fact, I'll create it right now. I'll create a poll. So that way you guys, as we progress here, you guys can decide whether or not if you're voting yay or nay. So let me create this real quick. All right, let me see here. Let me do it real quick before we get started. All right, let me see here. And all I'm going to ask for you guys to listen, right? Listen to the information that's presented. All right. Don't automatically jump in, and make comments without actually listening to the full matter. All right. Okay. Let me see here. Are the All right, are the 1948ers behind the minstrels, or the minstrel show? All right, we're gonna put that question here. We're gonna use this poll here, and we're going to keep it open. And I just encourage everyone just to, it doesn't cost you anything. You can vote yay or nay. It's not going to change what we're going to teach here because we're going to give clarity anyway. But let's get the maximum participation. Looks like we have over 700 people inside the stream. So number one, we should already be at 400 likes, right? Hit that like button. And if you haven't subscribed to the channel, but inside the poll, let's get at least, we should be able to get at least 200 right off the bat participants. But if you want to wait, if you want to save your vote, save your vote, and you can vote as we progress. I'm going to leave this open, and at the end of the lesson, we're going to do a total a tally of all the votes. Remember, you are the jury or the juror. All right. All right. Let's go ahead and get into it. All right. Black people just got to know. Oh, excuse me. Black people just got to learn their history, man. You got to learn the minstrel shows. Who's behind the minstrel shows? So let's go ahead and break this thing down. We got a lot to walk or present to you. So let's get it going. Who's being all right? Now I messed up with the question. Who's being the minstrels? All right. Okay. Who's behind the minstrels? Let me go ahead and correct that slide right now. Right. Every time you think that, I try to stay on top of this and proofread it, and I just missed that one right there. Let me fix this one real quick. All right, that's the question. All right, let me clear that right now. Who's behind the minstrel shows? All right, who is behind these minstrels? We have to answer this question. Who's behind the minstrels? Is Candace Owens correct with her conclusion in terms of the minstrels? Because she insinuated that the 1948ers, and as she referred to Ben Shapiro, that they are behind the minstrels. They are behind the minstrel shows, right? So I'll just say we have an uphill battle to prove whether or not she's true, that she's correct with that. All right. So if she's correct, then we got to we have to show the evidence that she's correct. We can't just say it that, yeah, she's correct. No, we have to walk it out. And that's one thing you guys may have learned about being connected to We Woke Now is that we show receipts. I presented on this, I displayed on the screen prints and all, so you can easily write it down. I may not post the sources inside the chat because, hey, it's on the screen, so you can write it down. Okay, so you can participate in this thing. So is Candace Owens correct with her conclusion in terms of the minstrels? All right, we're gonna answer this question. Who led the way in terms of the minstrels? Let's start with Deuteronomy 28:37. Y'all ready for this? Let's go to Deuteronomy 28, chapter 28, verse 37. We gotta lay the foundation as we go through this process of presenting the evidence to you. All right, this is Deuteronomy 28, verse 37. And thou shalt become an astonishment, a proverb, and a byword among all nations, whither Yahweh shall lead thee. Now, I know some of you guys may say Yahweh, some of you guys may say Yahuwah. His ancient Hebrew name is Yahweh. Now, I'm not making it a big deal if you say Yahweh or Yahuwah. I just ask that you respect the platform, respect what we do here. That's all I ask. All right. Because I do understand that many of us, when I say us, all of us as a community, we're learning every day. So I don't knock those that are not where we are or where I am in terms of understanding of the ancient Hebrew, because I know that we have to, consistency needs a starting place. And at one time I was saying Yahweh. At one time I was saying Jehovah. All right. But I had to progress, right? Anyway, so if thou shalt become an astonishment, a proverb, a byword among not some of the nations, but among all nations, where the Yahweh shall lead thee. Okay, let's go ahead and give clarity here. So what is the Hebrew meaning of astonishment? That's key. What is the meaning of astonishment? Look at what it says here. ruin, right? Make a note of that. When you see astonishment, it means ruin. Okay? Ruin, consternation, desolate, desolation, waste. And a key word that we see here, horror. So make a note of this, right? When you see the word astonishment, shama, right? Remember, this is shama. The word shama'a is the ancient word for obedience. Listen with intelligence. So we have here shama. It means ruin, consternation, desolate, desolation, waste, horror. So this word does not mean, as some will teach it, a simple surprise. This word means horror. It means devastation. It means something stared at and a condition people gawk at. It is the language of spectacle. Let me say that again. This word does not mean, simply a surprise or a simple surprise. It means horror. It means devastation. It means something stared at and a condition people gawk at. It is the language of spectacle. Make a note of that. The language of spectacle, when you see that word astonishment. So blackface did not merely insult, it put us, Negroes, the ancient true bloodline Israelites, on display by exaggerating our bodies, our lips, our speech, and behavior designed to be looked at, laughed at, and be remembered. Let me say that again. Blackface did not merely just simply insult us. It's far deeper than that. It put us on display, exaggerated our bodies, our lips, our speech, our behavior, designed to be looked at, laughed at, and be remembered. Oh, I'm going somewhere with this. So whether on stage, postcards, nursery books, advertisements, we, our community, we that have been scattered to the four corners of this earth, no matter where we are, we were turned into objects of visual shock and amusement. Let me say that again. Whether on stage, postcards, nursery books, or advertisements, we were turned into objects of visual shock and amusement. So what is the Hebrew meaning of byword? I'm glad you guys asked. What's the Hebrew meaning of byword? What's the Hebrew meaning of byword? Shanaya na. Now, we're not going to deal with the Israeli Shanina. We're not dealing with that. Ancient Hebrew, Shana Yana. It means, as we see here, the word byword, but the key is taunt. Taunt, and then here in entry number 1, sharp word. In other words, cutting word. So make a note of that. Taunt, sharp word, cutting word. All right? So byword simply means a people who are turned into a language of slang, a language of colloquialism. Does that make sense, everyone? Byword simply means a people who are turned into a language. They did create a language by what? Perverting words that was designated as being positive, that was connected to royalty. We'll touch on that a little bit for those that may be listening to this for the first time. So a byword simply means a people who are turned into a language of slang, a language of colloquialism. So let's bring it together. So this word means a taunt, a slur, a repeated saying, a mocking name used casually. A byword is not a single insult. It is when a people's identity becomes shorthand for ridicule. Make a note of that. Let me say that again. This word means a taunt, a slur, a repeated saying, a mocking name used casually. A byword is not a single insult. Let me say that again. A byword is not a single insult. This ties into the crafty counsel in the 83rd book of Psalms, where you see that word hamult, or should I say not hamult, tumult, which the Hebrew word is hama, which means war cry. And a war cry is what? Words, as we just pointed out, astonishment, bywords, proverbs that are used to rally a people to a certain cause. So this word means a taunt, a slur, a repeated saying, a mocking, name used casually. A byword is not a single insult. It is when a people's identity becomes shorthand for ridicule. So blackface didn't just mock, it standardized mockery. Let me say that again. Blackface didn't just mock us. It didn't just simply mock our people. It standardized mockery. It made it acceptable. It became a norm of mocking our people. Let me keep it going. All right. So what do I mean by standardized mockery? Number one, stereotypes became phrases. Caricatures became default images. Names and depictions became reusable jokes. Children learned them before they could reason. Let me say that again. When I say standardized mockery, it means, and what I mean by that is, stereotypes became phrases. Caricatures became default images. Names and depictions became reusable jokes. Children learned them before they could even reason, before they could even form a thought, an independent thought of their own. So why this verse pairs the word astonishment and byword? What's the impact when we bring it together? When we combine the meanings? Well, this is why. Astonishment is how we are seen. Let me say that again. Astonishment is how we are seen, and a byword is how we are spoken about. Let me say that again. Astonishment is how we, you, me, we are seen. A byword, or should I say byword itself, is how we are spoken about. That's why this is important. That's why I'm starting off with this here before we get into the meat and potatoes. I want to make sure we lay down the foundation. All right. So, jury, are you guys following me? All right. I'm going through the presentation of the evidence. I'm making my arguments to you guys, so that way you guys can make the right decision. Okay, let's keep it going. So let's start with this article here. News Times: Black babies used as alligator bait in Florida. Let me say that again. News Times: Black babies used as alligator bait in Florida. It has been pretty well documented recently that during slavery and into the 20th century, Black babies were used as alligator bait in North and Central Florida. In 1908, The Washington Times reported that a keeper at the New York zoological garden had baited alligators. Excuse me for butchering the word. All right. Let me read it again. In 1908, the Washington Times reported that a keeper at the New York Zoological Garden had baited alligators with pickaninnies. And on September 21st, 1923, the Oakland Tribune reported pickaninny bait lures voraciously gator to death. And it goes on to say the graphic, a London-based newspaper, included in its January 1988 issue titled Sports in Ceylon, excuse me if I butcher it, shooting a man-eating crocodile. Now, I didn't put some of the screen prints here. Well, I do have some postcards here. I didn't have a time to put them in here. I may do it at the end so you guys can really see the illustrations of how these postcards, the images on these postcards, because I do have copies of the postcards. And I was actually trying to get this document here, right? I was really trying to get a copy of this document right here so I could see for myself. So Henry Wise, right? I want you guys to grab hold of this, right? Henry Wise, Mammy's little alligator bait, minstrel shows, children sleeping, caricatures, dwelling dialects, portrays love, fear, 1899. Uh-oh, this is a major piece that I'm starting off with. Let me show you this song because this is a song. Let me bring it up, right? This is Mammy's Little Alligator Bait. Henry Wise, Sidney Perrin, all right? Charles K. Harris. Okay, let's present this here. This is, it's 5 pages, but only presented one because I didn't want to read it all here. But I want you guys to pay attention to what I'm highlighting here. Go to sleep. Don't you peep. Listen to me tell you. Use Mammy's little alligator bait. See, when you try to find or research this information, they try to play it or downplay it by saying it's just a myth. You know, when it comes to our community, especially the things that we had to deal with and some of the heinous crimes that was committed towards our people, that was inflicted on our people, they would try to downplay the things that they've done to us. They'll tell us right now lynching doesn't exist anymore. But what do we see happening? We see lynchings happening on a regular basis. Come on, lynchings are taking place on a regular basis, but they'll tell you it's a myth. No, we're not falling for that. We're not falling for that. You don't have all of this data in terms of postcards and all this news reports for it to just be a folklore. This is an actual song, you know, and many of these songs were sang as lullabies to their children to sing them to sleep. So go to sleep, don't you peep. Listen to me tell you, use Mammy's little alligator bait. This is one of the advertisers. This is one of the flyers right here. Blumenthal and Bickart Incorporated Distiller. But look at what you see here, alligator bait. Whose image do you see here? This is an actual image right here. And I got this off of the Library of Congress. That's why you see at the footnote here. Let me zoom in so you guys can see. I made sure I kept it here. I should have included the link, but let me zoom in so you guys can see. Courtesy of Library of Congress. You guys see that? If you guys can see that, you the jury, remember, I'm presenting the evidence to you. Now, do you see that? Type 1. If you see that, courtesy of Library of Congress, type 1. Because this is not something that I'm making up. This is actually recorded in the government. Okay? All right. So this is the song right here, and this is recorded at the Library of Congress. These are the words to the song. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to let you hear how this song would be sang. All right? This is a lullaby. Let me let you hear with your own ears on how this song will be sang.
Hush-a-bye, don't you cry. Mammy's little pickaninny gonna get a present mighty soon. When them stars am a peeping and the moon it am a creeping, then Mammy gon' sing this tune. Shut your eye, by and by, man will whip you if you cry. Someone am a coming through the gate. Go to sleep, don't you peep. Listen to me tell you, use Mammy little alligator bait. See, these words of this song were written by Henry Wise, and the music, Lord have mercy, composed by Sidney Perry for the play Mammy's Little Alligator Bait. Mammy's Little Alligator Bait. Mammy's Little Alligator Bait.
All right, family. Now, let me make that clear. That's me. I disguise my voice. All right. So I may get struck down of using my own voice, like it happens sometimes. All right. So that's me actually singing the words of this song rather. Just so that way you guys can actually put it into its proper perspective. It's one thing to read, right? But it's another thing to actually hear it being sang. You know, these words, hush-a-bye, don't you cry. Yeah, I'm very creative. But I just want to make sure that you guys understood the magnitude of these words. You're the jury. You're the jury. Okay, let's keep it going. Remember, with presentation of the evidence, let's keep it going. All right. This is exactly how a people are turned into a proverb, right? Song turned into an astonishment. Taunt turned into a byword, not by isolated insults, but a cultural repetition. Let me say that again. This is exactly how a people are turned into a proverb, turned into an astonishment, and a byword, not by isolated insults, but by a cultural repetition, repetitiveness. So the phrase alligator bait reflects a long-standing racist trope portraying our children as expendable. Doesn't that ties into Deuteronomy as well about our children? Reflects a long-standing racist trope portraying Negro children, our children, as expendable, as animals, as disposable objects rather than actual human beings. Let me say that again. The phrase alligator bait reflects a long-standing racist trope portraying Negro children as expendable animals and disposable objects rather than actual beings. That's the playbook when you read Exodus chapter 1 about what the Pharaoh had commanded his people to do to the men in our community, the boys that was 2 years and under. To toss them. Everyone was empowered to murder them, to take their life and toss them like they were trash. Like they were what? Expendable objects, animals, disposable objects rather than actual human beings. So who is this Charles K. Harris? Who is this Charles K. Harris? We saw his name on the song. Who is this guy? We saw his name on the publishing and all that, but who is Charles K. Harris? Jury, I'd like to submit another piece of evidence. This is coming from the Jewish Telegraphic Agency. Charles Harris, composer of After the Ball, dead at 65. Let's see who this guy is. I'm not going to read all of this, but as you see here, Charles K. Harris, noted American Jewish music publisher and composer whose song After the Ball sold in 3 million copies, died Monday at his home at the age of 65. He is survived by his widow, 2 daughters, a brother, and a sister. Mr. Harris, who was born in Poughkeepsie, New York, spent most of his early years in the Middle West. All right. So I just gave you a breadcrumb, jury, because we have to answer this question and see if Candace Owens is correct that the 1948ers were behind the Minstrels, heavily behind the Minstrels. We got to prove this. Let's go to another book here to further prove the Deuteronomy 28:37 passage about us being a proverb, a byword, and astonishment. Let's bring this together. A book of lullabies compiled by Elva S. Smith, 1955. Sleep, my little cinnamon-colored coon. That's right, family. You see what you see on the screen. It should make you feel some kind of way. But I want to make sure you understand when we say a proverb and an astonishment, a byword, I want to make sure you guys understand the depth of that passage, that depth of that consequence, that no other group, no other people has dealt with this. Not even the 1948ers. Why? Because I'm going to give you some key information that's going to prove what I'm saying here. But I gotta continue to present this evidence to you. Family, here's the book. I don't have the entire song, but all through this book, these are lullabies. These are lullabies. Now, this particular lullaby, I'm just going to highlight something here that's key. Look at here. Close your naughty little eyelids. You'd see I can't see what that says there. I may have to see it. Yeah. Close your naughty little eyelids. And I'm going to zoom this in so that way you guys can read it as I present this to you. Let me zoom it in. Sleep, sleep, sleep. My little yaller baby. Mammy loves you so. Close your naughty little eyelids. You see the sweetest little coon I know. Great big gators, right? Alligators, right? You see this here, right, family? Great big gators, in other words, alligators, want to eat you if you don't hush mighty soon. Then they knows it when my baby cries, sleep, my little cinnamon color coon. Juicy ripe persimmon, mighty fine to eat. Waiting for my baby in the morning. Just about the color of my baby, so sweet. Honey, when to eat them soon. Oh, family. See, this should make you bust out in tears. No other group of people has been treated this way. We should be thanking the Most High every day and not being caught up in some superficial holiday that they created. Now, this is the continuation of that song here. And in that song, you see them use the word gator again. Let me zoom it in. I didn't have a chance to put it all here, and it would have taken a lot of time. Look here. Gators am uneasy when they hears you weep. Mind, I gives you timely warning. Mammy's going to rock her little dusky babe to sleep. While she sings the Sandman's tune, Deed I loves my bandy-legged, sweet brown baby. Even though his color am a trifle shady, hush my little turtle dove, sleep my rosebud. Angels guard you from above. Sleep my little nut brown coon. Y'all have mercy. I want to make sure you guys really understand just how prophetic, how real the scriptures is. Deuteronomy 28, and when we get to the consequences, this is real, family. No other community can compare. Anyway, let's continue. Now, these are some of the images. These are some of the images. The blackface images. Oh, we got a lot more to cover, family. We got a lot more to cover. So what is blackface? What is blackface? Let's start with the Oxford Dictionary definition of this word blackface. Actually, this is not the Oxford. This is actually the Webster. I got to update my slide. All right. But let's see what it says. We'll stick to where we are. Dark makeup worn to mimic the appearance of a black person and especially to mock or ridicule black people. And here's the notes. The wearing of blackface by white performers was from the early 19th through the mid 20th centuries a prominent feature of minstrel shows, and tells us to see minstrel, and similar forms of entertainment featuring exaggerated and inaccurate caricatures of black people. The use of blackface is considered deeply offensive. And then entry number 2, plural blackfaces, a performer wearing blackface. So is this true, or should I say, is this the true origin, or should I say, let me phrase this again, is this the true and original meaning of blackface? Is this the true and original meaning of blackface, or should we say dark face? Let me show you how they corrupted it. Let me give you some sources here. Is this the definition of a corruption of the original meaning of blackface? Remember what we said about Astonishment, Byword, creating stereotypes, ridicule? Let's break this down. The word Negro. Some of you guys probably remember this. But member of a black-skinned race of Africa. And then you see Spanish or Portuguese Negro, in other words, black. But look at here, we see dark, we see black, dark, sable, dusky. And look at the negativity that was added to it. Gloomy, unlucky, bad, wicked. See the colloquialism that's associated to a word that started out being a positive word? Okay, look at here. The Latin word also was applied to the black peoples of Africa. But the usual term were Ethiops and Afar. Now, if you understand Afar, right, and you study Josephus and some of the early historians, they'll tell you that the word African or Africa comes from Abraham's sons by way of his wife Keturah. That's a whole nother discussion. Giving us information stating that the word Africa, Afar, is a Shemitic word. But nevertheless, the usual terms were Ethiops and Afar. And it goes on to say, as an adjective from 1950s, use with a capital N became general early 20th century in reference to U.S. citizens of African descent. But because of its perceived association with white imposed attitudes and roles, the word was ousted in late 1960s in the sense by black. So the Latin word also was applied to the black people, the dark people, the dark melanated people of Africa that was also referred to as blue black, right? But the usual terms were Ethiops, right? These are two words, Ethiops, dark or black, face. So let's go to the etymology dictionary of Ethiops. Let's see what it says here. Right? This is where you get the word Ethiopia. It says Ethiopian Negro. Notice what we see here. To burn, Athean, ops, face, fiery looking. This is why you see the Ethiop or the Ethiopia or Ethiopian or Ethiopica. I'm just saying some different words of how it's pronounced. Ocean, which is now called the Atlantic, which that comes from ether, eighth. You see where we're going at with this here. Beyond the waters of, y'all get it. So it says here, Athene to burn ops face, compared to Ethiop's fiery looking, later sunburned. So from Athenian to burn plus ops face. So let's go to this word ether since I mentioned it. Upper region of space. Look at here. Aether, the upper pure, bright air, sky, firmament. To burn, shine. Anyway. Proto-Indo-European word aid, in other words, to burn. All right, let's keep it going. So this is coming from the compact edition of the Oxford Dictionary, the English Dictionary, more specific. And look at what it says here. Oops, sorry about that. It says pretty much it's going to confirm what I just read from the etymology dictionary. Ethiopian commonly believed to be burnt plus face. Okay, so dark face, black face, and as you see here, Ethiopian, hence usually a person with a black skin, a blackamoor. Phrase, to wash an Ethiop white. In other words, to attempt the impossible. This is where you get, can a Ethiopian change its skin? All right. Let's fast forward. Jeremiah chapter 13, verse 23. Can an Ethiopian change his skin, or the leopard his spots? Okay. So a person's dark skin and a leopard spot are fixed features of their being. That's what it means. Okay. So a dark-skinned person cannot make his skin lighter, nor can a leopard change its spots. Well, with the technology today, you have a lot of people using bleach. But guess what? There's side effects. Those products are being banned in many nations in Africa because there's a lot of chemical side effects to that. You still see the features, but anyway, let's continue here. This is an article, Newsom, Philadelphia Catholic School, student and racist blackface. Video will be disciplined. Archdiocese says February 8th, 2023. I'm not sure if you guys remember this. So much for racism dying off with older generations. It often feels like every year, Black History Month doubles as White Grievance February, as the Caucasian urge to resent celebrations of Blackness is always sure to surface, as are their racist videos to demonstrate said resentment. And yet, the narrative of this administration and those that follow is that the Caucasian male is being threatened, being discriminated. Anyway, according to ABC6, students believed to be from St. Hubert Catholic High School in Franklintown Charter High School, both Philadelphia schools were caught on video being racist as all holy, you know what, while one wore blackface and the other sprayed her in the face while calling her a slave. You're a black girl, Becky number 1 said to Becky number 2, who was wearing blackface while being sprayed in the face. You know your roots. It's February, Becky number 1 shouted dramatically. You're nothing but a slave. After continuously allowing herself to be sprayed in the face while other KK Karens in training cackled in the background, which was supposed to simulate, I don't know, right? Was Black people being sprayed with water hoses? Maybe. The teen in blackface mockingly shouted, "I'm Black and I'm proud." Ah, the Klan KKK cadets are at it again. This is only the latest video in a string of racist videos, proposals, and pro-slavery petitions made by white high schoolers who don't even seem to care for their African-American counterparts. It's not even the first time a story like this came out of a Catholic high school. Maybe the problem is white teens are already racist and resentful of Black people because they don't really know American history, because Black history is being filtered through a lens designated to protect white people from their own fragility. But you know, we dealt with the Catholic Church, but we still need to answer this question. The Minstrels, who's behind it? Did the 1948ers community participate in blackface? Let me ask you that question again. Did the 1948ers community participate in blackface? Is this important to know? All right. I'm going to present some more information to you, jurors. Should we be surprised if they did participate in blackface? Let me say that again. Should we be surprised if they did participate in blackface? The Jewish community, or the 1948ers, as we know them, guess what? They were major players, and we're gonna get to that question, but I just want to make sure those that are watching for the first time that may not know this, right, let me just do a refresh of the last live that we did. This will be about 10 minutes to the 15 minutes of your time, and we'll get back to it. Let me play this video clip that Candace Owens stated.
And to people that are at home, I implore you to wake up to these people who believe that they are contract lords. I challenge Black Americans to wake up to your true history, because your quarrel is not with white men, okay? Wake up to who publishes these books and keeps us warring with one another. Christians versus Christians, right? Christians versus Muslims. Wake up and learn the true history of slavery, because that wasn't exactly a white men sport, okay? Jewish people were the ones that were trading us. Jewish people were in control of the slave trade. They've buried a lot of it, but it's there, and you can find it. I think all of us need to wake up to this, because it's making me absolutely sick that he is so bold that he dare sit near Charlie Kirk's chair, that he dare grace that stage when Charlie Kirk knew exactly what Ben Shapiro was and will always be.
All right, so let me give some quick shout outs here. I didn't notice that I had some super chats here. Vincent Ali, keep up the great work. Our ancestors are with us. Really appreciate it, my brother. Thank you for the love and support. Really appreciate the contribution tonight. Also, Charles Miller, thank you, brother Charles. Really appreciate you. Thank you for the love and support that you've been sharing and been really holding up our arms here. Really appreciate all that you do. Thank you again for the love and support. Thank you for the contribution tonight. And also, Mafe Ya, I can't handle. No matter how many times I read or see this content of our babies and other atrocities, hanging there, I know it can be very, 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 very hard to hear and see those images. And I've seen a lot of images because of my research. You see a lot. You know, you have to stay prayed up, but, you know, really appreciate the love and support, but hang in there. Family, let's show our love, support for everyone that contributed tonight with the super chats. Again, show some love for Vincent Ali. Show some love for Elder Charles Miller. Just give some love to each one of them right now. And also Mfeya, show some love for all three of them tonight. Thank you guys again for the love and support. Again, really appreciate the contributions. Hallelujah. 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 All right, family. Let me check up on the poll real quick, and then we'll continue here. All right. So far, we have 269 votes. Come on, guys. Come on, guys. Let's get the votes up. All right. But we'll get a final count. I thought we'd be higher than that, you know, especially with the amount that we have inside the room. All right. But that means I have to show you some more information. Okay. We'll get those numbers up. All right. So let's continue here, family. Let's continue here. Let's get back over to, let me change my screens here. So the 1948ers, right, their community were major players in the transatlantic World War. It's been dumbed down to say slave trade. All right. Let's prove this. Numbers chapter 24, verse 23 and 24. This is a key prophecy. And it reads, and he took up his parable and said, Alas, who shall live when Elohim doeth this? And the ship shall come from the coast of Chittim and shall afflict Ashur and shall be afflicted, and shall afflict Ibar, and he shall also perish forever. Who is Chittim? As you see in the scripture, who is Chittim or Chittim, right? You'll see this name in the Hebrew in Joel chapter 6, which represents what? All the nations, right? That's going to enslave our people. This connects to Chittim. You'll see Chittim there. So who are these people? Who is Chittim? Chittim is the cousin of Ashkenaz. Genesis chapter 10, verse 3 and 4 And the sons of Gomer, Ashkenaz, right? Riphath, Togarmah, and the sons of Javan, Elisha, Tarshish, Kedem, or Kathayam, right? These are dealing with who? The Romans. These are dealing with the Greeks, right? They all are part of Japheth, the son of perdition. The bloodline Japheth, that's the son of perdition, his descendants. Every last, pretty much all of these guys that we highlight connects to Japheth. Afflicted our people. So this ties into Joel. I didn't put it in here for the sake of time, but you'll see Kittim in Joel, or Javan rather. I believe it's Kittim, but Javan in the prophecies of Joel, right? Still ties into Kittim. And the Grecians that the Israelites are sold into slavery in that passage, that represents, all these nations that have enslaved us. All right. So the Hebrew definition of Kittim, as you see here, it says here, the key here, an islander in general, an example, Greeks or Romans, as I just pointed out, Greeks or Romans. We see Kittim inside the Eastern Bible Dictionary. The name of the branch of the descendants of Javan, the son of Japheth, Balaam foretold in Numbers 24:24 that ship shall come from the coast of Chittim and afflict Eber or Ibar. And we see, right, these ships. Who ran these ships? Remember, Javan, right? That's definitely the Greeks. And Kittim is what? The Romans, the Greeks, these still part of the same people. What type of system, what type of caste system are we subjected to? The Republic of the United States. Some of you guys may not know, if you actually read the Constitution, you'll see that the United States is a republic. Where did that come from? That's the Roman system. Anyway, let's continue. All right. So Kittim is the son of Javan. The nations were guilty of capturing and selling us, our people, as slaves. All right. So let's highlight a couple of things here. I'm not going to spend a lot of time here, but let me just highlight this source here, Jews in Judaism in the United States, a documentary history, Rabbi Mark Lee Raphael, 1983. This is that book right here. All right. This is showing proof here. The 1948ers took an active part in the Dutch colonial slave trade. Notice what it says. Indeed, by the bylaws of the Recife and Mauritia congregations, included an imposta, in other words, a 1948er tax of 5 soldos for each Negro slave in a Brazilian 1948er purchase. From the West Indies Company, slave auctions were postponed if they fell on a 1948er holiday. In Curaçao in the 17th century, as well as in the British colonies of Barbados and Jamaica in the 18th century, 1948ers merchants played a major role in the slave trade. In fact, in all of the American colonies, whether French, British, or Dutch, 1948ers merchants frequently dominated. This is no less true on the North American mainland, where during the 18th century, 1948ers participated in the triangular trade that brought slaves from Africa to the West Indies and there exchanged them for molasses, which in turn was taken to New England and converted into rum for sale in Africa. Isaac DaCosta of Charleston, South Carolina in 1750s, David Franks of Philadelphia in the 1760s, and Aaron Lopez of Newport in the late 1760s, Newport, Rhode Island, in early 1770s, dominated 1948ers slave trading on the American continent. So just making it clear that these guys were major players. Uh-oh. So the 1948ers dominated the buying and selling of slaves in Charleston, South Carolina. Right? Guess what? It was one of them was Isaac DaCosta. All right. All right. Let me see here. And this right here is just giving a sample of recording some of his transactions here, but I'm not going to get into all of that. But just real quick, as you see here, the 1948ers Caribbean Nexus will provide 1948ers with the opportunity to claim a disproportionate influence in the 17th, the 18th century New World commerce and enable West Indian Jewry far outnumbering its co-religionists. Further north to enjoy a centrality which North American Jewry would not achieve for a long time to come. Groups of 1948ers began to arrive in Suriname in the middle of the 17th century after the Portuguese regained control of northern Brazil. By 1694, 27 years after the British had surrendered Suriname to the Dutch, there were about 100 1948ers families and 50 single 1948ers, or about 570 persons. They possessed more than 40 estates and 9,000 slaves, contributed 25,905 pounds of sugar as a gift for the building of a hospital. And understand this, the sugarcane plantations was the worst of the worst out of all the plantations. And guess what? All the plantations are bad, but that was the worst of the bad. And carried on an active trade with Newport and other colonial ports. By 1730, 1948ers owned 115 plantations and were a large part of a sugar export business, which sent out 21,680,000 pounds of sugar to European and New World markets in 1730 alone. Slave trading was a major feature of 1948ers' economic life in Suriname, which as a major stopping off point in the triangular trade. Both North American and Caribbean 1948ers played a key role in this commerce. Record of a slave sale in 1707 revealed that 10 largest 1948ers purchasers spent more than 25% of the total fund exchanged. All right. Last point here, as I pointed out, this is just giving some additional proof of one of the many transactions by Aaron Lopez that he had a debt that he needed to pay. That's all this is saying here. I'm not going to read all of this for the sake of time. Next point I want to point out, right? And matter of fact, let me play this video so that way I could bring it home about the participation of the 1948ers during the slave trade. All right. Let me see here. Do I have the clip here? I thought I had it here. I thought I saw it here. If not, we'll continue. Here it is. All right.
Now, this may come as a surprise to you, but as many as 10,000 Jews served in the Confederate Army, and they served bravely. There was Adolf Proskauer, a recent immigrant from Poland who fought at Seven Pines, Chancellorsville, Gettysburg, and Spotsylvania. Wounded at least 3 times, he just couldn't kill this guy. Then there was Louis Leon, also a recent immigrant, this time from Germany, who was one of the few survivors from his brigade who fought at Gettysburg. Now, he was real hardcore, and 50 years after the battle, he had this to say in his memoirs: "I still say our cause was just, nor do I regret one thing that I have done to cripple the North." But there's one Confederate who in some ways topped them all. Judah Benjamin was born in the West Indies, grew up in South Carolina, and made his way to New Orleans, where he also made his fortune as an innovative sugarcane plantation owner with 140 slaves.
All right, so I wanted to play that video. of them further proving the point, the role and the roles and I would say that they played in the transatlantic world war. All right. Next point, real quick, because I did play this clip about the KKK that Candace Owens mentioned, and I'll just share a quick thought on this because there were some people posting. I think it was a couple of trolls trying to twist her words of what she said about the KKK. But let me see if I have it here. And actually, she was calling Piers Morgan out about the KKK, right? But more so about his approach, not necessarily the KKK. But let me play this here so you guys can get the details.
I mean, this is him doing, Ku Klux Klan imagery with swastikas and so on. It's so brazen. It's so taunting. And you talk about people who are directly attacking people. He's directly attacking Jewish people when he does this and making them feel extremely uncomfortable, extremely threatened by this because he's got 32 million people following him on X alone. His social media firepower to galvanize hate against the Jewish people is being laid bare, isn't it, in real time?
Just a question for you. When you saw the Klansman hoodie, why did you say taunting against Jewish people but didn't mention anything about Black people? Yeah, but it's just interesting that of the two things you chose to lean into Jewish people and not to speak about what the Klansman hood represents.
All right, so she busted him out on that because he was just focusing on Kanye West, who was dressing in Klan's uniform, and as you saw that was a display of what he was selling, a Klan's outfit with a swastika on it. But Piers Morgan chose to just focus on the swastika. And that's why she was asking him that question, because that's the way that so many have been programmed to minimize our community, but maximize their communities. Did you guys catch it? That's what she was saying. She was like, hey, I noticed that you paid more attention to the swastika, but you just completely ignored the Klan's outfit. All right, so that's what she was making there, the point she was making. But let me give you a little bonus information, and then we're going to go ahead and get back to the Minstrels. Would you be surprised if I told you that there were 1948ers who were members of the Ku Klux Klan? New York Times, state Klan's leader hides secret of 1948er origin Klan leader here, hiding the secret of his 1948er origin, preaches anti-Semitism, October 31st, 1965. Here it is. I'm not going to read all of it, but here it is. Daniel Burroughs, that's his name, New York Times, Daniel Burroughs. A 28-year-old Queens man, Daniel Burroughs, was identified on October 20th as the Grand Dragon of the Ku Klux Klan, in charge of New York State at hearings of the House Committee on Un-American Activities. Actually, Mr. Burroughs carries a Klan's card identifying him as King Kleagle, or chief organizer. He was in a prominent role for the United Klans of America here. He said he was appointed to the post about 7 weeks ago. He brings to the position a varied background in extreme right-wing activities. Burroughs, known as a floater among such groups, recently changed his dress from a brown shirt to a white sheet. Let me get to a key point here. It says here, as former National Secretary of the American Nazi Party, he was second in command. He was what? In second in command. He has continued to detail his doctrine. Israel is one of the grottos from which the octopus of international Jewry reaches out its nefarious tentacles. Israel must perish. This is his words. His tabloid, right, the Free American, promotes genocide as the best means of dealing with the Negro and the 1948er problem. But here's the kicker, family. Let me fast forward here. Right? Let me see here. Right here. It says, in intensive investigation by the KBI, in other words, the Klan Bureau of Investigation, has a 1948er background. His parents were married in a 1948er wedding ceremony. He was described as a star pupil in a Hebrew school at Queen's Synagogue. He later bar mitzvahed. In other words, confirmed. This was confirmed. So he was a 1948er. After information was received from a 1948er agency that Bureau's parents were 1948ers, his life was minutely traced through many sources. All right, so let's get back to it. I just wanted to give a little bonus information to you, the jury. Now let's get back over to this. Back to the words of Candace Owens. Black people just got to learn their history, man. You got to learn. The minstrel shows. Who's behind the minstrel shows? Who's behind them? Who's behind the minstrel shows? I got to correct this one. I'm not going to do it now. Is Candace Owens correct with her conclusion in terms of the minstrel shows? Who's behind it? Who led the way in terms of the minstrel shows? These minstrels, these blackface minstrels, who led the way? Now, I can't play this video because whenever I try to play it, they try to strike it. But you guys understand who this person is. This is a blackface minstrel by this guy right here, Al Jolson, who was a 1948er. Now, let me allow you to hear from their own sources, their roles in the minstrels. Okay, let me fast forward here. Okay, New York Times, was that Ralph Northam in blackface? This is dealing with a big issue that happened in 2019, right? From a Democrat, I believe he's a Democrat politician who was dressed in blackface in one of his old pictures. This is coming from the New York Times, right? On a Friday in February, Governor Ralph Northam of Virginia confessed that he was one of two men in a racist photograph that had been published in a medical school yearbook about 35 years earlier. In subsequent video, he apologized and promised to do better. The next afternoon, standing before a throng of reporters, the Democrat suddenly recanted and insisted that neither man was him. He apologized on one day. Then the next day, he tried to say it wasn't him in the picture, which showed one in Ku Klux Klan robe and the other in blackface, which was him. On Wednesday, almost 4 months after the photograph surfaced and plunged Virginia's government into turmoil, investigators said they had been unable to determine which of Mr. Northam's accounts were true. No one we interviewed told us the government was in the photograph, and no one could positively state who was in the photograph. You know how they cover up for each other, right? This is him. This is he. Come on, family. But let me give you another source here. Jewish Telegraphic Agency News. Jews and blackface. A Complicated History, February 6, 2019. Let me give you some additional sources. This is a major source here. This is coming from who? The Jewish Telegraphic Agency. So this is their own publication. This is their own documents. This is them making it clear their roles and their position and or during the blackface minstrel, that whole period. Look at what they say. When it comes to the 1948er experience and blackface, or with blackface, the picture is, well, not so black and white. For the 1948ers, The controversy surrounding Virginia Governor Ralph Northam suggests a complicated history that runs from Al Jolson to Eddie Cantor to former Brooklyn Assemblyman Dove Hickind, or Hicken, however you want to pronounce it. Northam's political career is foundering because his 1984 medical school yearbook page featured a photograph of two white people, one in blackface and the other in a KKK costume. He denies being in the photo or even knowing it was on his page, but admits he darkened his skin to look like Michael Jackson for a 1984 talent show. Come on, go figure, right, family? So he tried to change his story by saying, maybe it was me, but it was from a talent show. I was imitating Michael Jackson. Anyway, that's funny, just that in itself, right? Northam is walking in the footsteps of Al Jolson, born Asa Jolson, in Lithuania, to 1948er parents who immigrated to the United States. The actor-singer, known at the height of his popularity as the world's greatest entertainer, often performed in blackface. So let's keep it going. So the world's greatest entertainer often performed in blackface. So the world's greatest entertainer was a 1948er. That's him right here. He had the song Mammy. You can Google it. Him singing Mammy. So let's go back to the source here. Let's see what else it says. Jolson's career flourished as a result of his portrayal of African Americans, most notably in the 1927 film The Jazz Singer, the full-length talkie, whose hallmark moment is his emotional singing on bended knee and blackface and overdrawn lips of Mammy. At the time, Jolson was arguably better known in the country than any genuinely black performer. The current debate over the propriety of non-blacks impersonating blacks, especially through wearing makeup on their faces, whether accomplished by stereotyped black language and mannerism or not, is focusing attention on the history of blackface. The debate exists at the intersection of cultural affinity and cultural appropriation, and the practices changing perception in both black and white society. Blackface has a long Jewish history. Come on, jurors, are y'all paying attention to this? Blackface has a long Jewish history. The practice originated in the late 1820s with white male performers portraying African American characters by applying burnt cork to their faces. These minstrel acts grew in popularity through the 1840s, frequently exposing white audiences in the North to a depiction of Southern Black life. Mark Twain, Abraham Lincoln were known to attend minstrel shows, while white and black performers, including Bert Williams, the most prominent black entertainer of vaudeville era, darkened their faces in this way. Blackface became a staple of vaudeville and of ads for such products as cigarettes, and pancakes. Then came The Jazz Singer, which took blackface to a wider national audience. In addition to Jolson leading Jewish or 1948ers entertainers who also performed in blackface, including such prominent names as Eddie Cantor, George Burns, George Jessel, and Sophie Tucker. Look at what it says here. Jews, 1948ers, then played a disproportionate role in the entertainment industry. You know what that means. You know what that sounds like, right? That they dominated. They were leading the way. But it goes on to say The 1948ers performed this kind of minstrelsy in the 1910s and 1920s better and more than any other group in America. Let me read that again. Let me make sure you guys understand. The 1948ers, this is what it's saying. The Jews, the 1948ers, performed this kind of minstrelsy in the 1910s and 1920s better and more than any other group in America. Jewish faces covered in cork were ubiquitous. All right. But nevertheless, I want to make sure you guys understand. It said that, guess what? They were leading the way, said they did it better. And guess what? More than any other group in America. In other words, they were the majority. They were leading the way. Oh, okay. All right. So I want to reiterate this point. The 1948ers performed this kind of minstrelsy in the 1910s and 1920s better and more than any other group. So according to this article, Al Jolson and the 1948ers are supposedly members of a fellow minority group, often aligned himself with Black American struggles for acceptance. That's crazy, right? That's crazy. That's their plight. That's when I say plight, that's what they've been able to do over and over again when it comes to our history. To say that, hey, we marched with you, but they won't tell you that they were on both sides of our struggle. They were supporting the persecution. They were supporting the enslavement, but then on the other side, supporting freedom. The Constitution gave all those 1948ers that had plantations in the South, they got reparations, because that was constitutionally, if the government took any products from anyone, they have to what? Give them a recompense. But they always had a way, as this article points out, that he aligned himself to our struggle. Come on, family. Sounds familiar? NAACP, the founders. You cannot align with a people by impersonating them while controlling the narrative. Let me say this again. You cannot align with any people by impersonating them while controlling the narrative. That's what he, according to how they documented and worded this article, that's what they want us to believe. You cannot claim solidarity while profiting from caricature. You can't. You cannot be a fellow minority in a context where only one group bears permanent stigma. Let me say that again. You cannot be a fellow minority in a context where only one group bears permanent stigma. White and Black performers included Bert Williams. That's an interesting quote, right? And the reason why I had to pull this up right here, because in 1904, Raphael Tuck and Sons produced this postcard, which is a famous blackface performer named Bert Williams. Why is this important? See, Raphael Tuck and Sons, guess what? They led the way with these Hallmark cards, right? They led the way with these gift cards. And one thing that you don't really hear much about is, do you guys see what's on your screen? Raphael and Son, Father Tuck's nursery series, 10 Little N-Word Boys, and 10 Little Dollies. See, it was changed from that to 10 Little Indians. Come on, family. 10 Little N-word boys, 10 little dollies. Raphael Tuck and Sons was a business started by a 1948 immigrant named Raphael Tuck and his wife in Bishopsgate in the city of London in October 1866, selling pictures and greeting cards, and eventually selling postcards, which was their most successful line. Their business was one of the best known in the postcard boom of the late 1800s and the early 1900s. Their contributions left a lasting effect on most of the artistic world. Not only did Raphael and Tuck and Sons create pictures, greeting cards, and postcards, they also created children's books series titled, as you see on your screen, Father Tuck's Nursery Series. This series included books titled 10 Little N-Word Boys, 10 Little Dollies. Let's deal with some of the wording here. You guys probably remember this. I couldn't get all the pages to this song, but you guys remember this? Because growing up, I remember we sang it as 10 Little Indians. But look at what it says here. 10 little N-word boys, 10 little N-word boys going out to dine. One choked his little self, and then there was 9. 9 little N-word boys sitting up too late. One overslept himself, and then there was 8. This is all dealing with lynching and all that. But this is how they taught their children how to count too. Perpetuating what? As what we highlighted earlier. Proverb, Astonishment, Bywords. Look what it goes on to say. 7 little N-word boys chopping up sticks. One chopped himself in half, and then there were 6. 4 little N-word boys going out to sea. A red herring swallowed one, and then there were 3. Look here, 4 little N-word boys going out to sea. That's the caption here. 2 little N-word boys sitting in the sun. One got frizzled up, and then there was 1. See the impact of this, right? I'm not sure if you guys know that Agatha Christie, her book, was originally titled, some of her mysteries were originally titled 10 Little N-Word Boys. I got the picture here. Dr. Dolittle, right? Blackface. So March 2nd, 2021, Dr. Seuss books will stop being published because of racist imagery. Look at there. If I Ran the Zoo. And I didn't have a chance. I want to put in some clips about the zoo, the human zoo of many of our people. That was in New York. You had the pygmy, or I don't even want to say pygmy, but you had the brother man that was up in New York, displayed on the human zoo with a chimpanzee. Yeah, human zoos in a number of areas in Africa. But look here, and to think that I saw it on Mulberry Street, Dr. Seuss. If I Ran the Zoo by Dr. Seuss. Mr. Elliot's Pool. I can't tell. Yeah, McElligot's Pool. All right. Those are just 3 of the books that it lists there. All right, but it says here, 6 Dr. Seuss books includes And to Think That I Saw It on Mulberry Street, and If I Ran the Zoo will stop being published because of racist and insensitive imagery. The business that preserves and protects the author's legacy said Tuesday. The other books affected are Eligot's Pool, on Beyond Zebra, Scrambled Eggs Super, and the Cat's Quizzer. And these some of the images. You see some of the images here? And guess what? He actually dressed in blackface. He dressed in blackface. He performed minstrels. Look at the stereotypes. That we barbaric. Look at the pink lips, the beady eyes. Yeah, this is Dr. Seuss. Berkeley professor on masks, 1948er, star in blackface study. Look at what this says here. Now pay attention to the excuse here. Listen to this. Oh, got to fix my presentation here, but I'm not going to do it right now. Blackface was the dominant form of popular culture from the 1830s until 1880. Then it became part of vaudeville and part of motion pictures, Rogan says. Though it all played on stereotypes, some portrayals were sympathetic. Notice how they trying to, kind of minimize, trying to smooth out their participation of leading the way, right? Dominating the minstrels. But it says some portrayals were sympathetic, some were hostile. Some of the biggest names behind Burn Cork, were 1948er ones, according to Rogan. In addition to Jolson, they included Eddie Cantor, George Burns, and Sophie Tucker. For Hollywood, 1948ers, blackface was a way of masking Jewishness. Did y'all catch that? Let me read that again. For Hollywood Jews, blackface was a way of masking Jewishness, he says. Did y'all catch that? Did y'all catch that? In this very 1948er industry, look at what it says. In this very Jewish industry, they thought that depicting Jews would promote anti-Semitism. So they hid it. Blackface is a metaphor. For that metaphor. So they're saying that they didn't want to basically make movies about their own culture because they didn't want to promote anti-Semitism. So they hid behind ours and poke fun at ours to promote what? All these different stereotypes, which they help promote. Did y'all catch that? Am I reading this wrong? You the jury. You guys the jury. You guys the jury. I'm just presenting, doing the presentation of the evidence. You guys have to make the final decision. All right. So there have been documented incidents reported in the news where some 1948ers have worn blackface costumes during Purim. Do you know that they still wear blackface? Many of them wear blackface. I'm not going to say all, but many wear blackface at Purim. Where did costume wearing become associated with Purim? This tells you and gives you the proof of who truly is who, because Purim represents the celebration of being saved from a genocide, but instead they want to what? Mock our people. Many of them. I'm going to say many of them. I'm not going to say all of them, but guess what? Many of them mock our people. That's a fact, family. Let me play a couple of videos here. So this is not a rumor or a theoretical claim. It has occurred. It has been photographed. It's been reported and publicly debated. So let me play a couple of clips for you guys here. Let me play a couple of clips for you guys. Let me pull it up here. I got 2 clips I'm going to share. Here we go.
Well, photos of children dressed in blackface are sparking reaction now from community leaders in Lakewood. The photos were taken during Purim celebration last week, where members of the Jewish community traditionally dress up in costume. News 12 New Jersey's Jim Murdoch fills us in.
The photos began circulating on social media over the weekend and were quickly condemned by Jewish leaders and the president of the Ocean County chapter of the NAACP. One photo shows two children with their faces painted black wearing colorful West African-style printed clothes. A second photo taken from the back shows two other children wearing dark makeup with afro wigs and sweatshirts with the slogan Black Lives Matter written on the back.
Poor taste. Actually sick.
Public School Board attorney and community leader Michael Inselbuck says the blame lies on the parents.
Assemblyman Dov Hikind of Borough Park, Brooklyn, in a picture on his son's Facebook page. The Assemblyman, a staunch defender of Jewish civil rights, is wearing what appears to be an afro wig, darkened face, sunglasses, and an orange jersey. He said he was trying to portray a black basketball player during yesterday's Purim holiday. Purim is a holiday when Jewish people celebrate not being annihilated in 13th century Persia. During Purim, Jewish children and some adults dress in costumes, give gifts to friends, and feast.
Purim, you get dressed up. And again, if you've seen the pictures of what people look like, it's everything you can imagine and what you can't imagine. It's bizarre, it's crazy. People get dressed up as Indians. People get dressed up as black. Never meant to offend anyone. So I realize that people see it that way, but it was not meant in that fashion at all. Period.
Did y'all catch that, family? Let me zip my shirt up here. Did y'all catch that, family? Did y'all catch that? He made it clear that they do dress up in blackface. So I'm going to go ahead and look at the voting. I'm going to give you guys extra time to vote because it's time for you guys to cast your final votes based upon what I shared with you here. Based on Candace Owens' statement, are the 1948ers behind the minstrel shows? All right. Right now we have 384 votes. We should be able to easily break 500 easily. Based upon what I presented, the information that I presented, the evidence that I presented, are the 1948ers behind the minstrel shows? Does this support Candace Owens' comments? Right? Let me go ahead and give you guys a few more minutes. Let's see if we could get it up to 500 likes as well as 500 participants. We got more than enough for an accurate sample. All right. So while you're doing that, we'll give it a few more minutes. I'm going to go ahead and all right, let's see if we could get it to 400. We're 8 votes short of 400. You know, we just need 8 more people. Let's get it to 400. Did we prove that the 1948ers were behind the minstrel shows? Yay or nay? Are they guilty? All right. We just need 6 more votes to just make it an even 400. All right. All right. Well, let's go off of what we have. We're 4 votes short. All right. I see the likes are picking up. Really appreciate it, family. Let's go ahead and take a screenshot of this here. All right. We 2 votes short, family. 2 votes short. There we are. We hit 400. So I'm just going to take a screenshot of the 400. Here we go. And I'm going to post it here. All right. So let's take this and let's do this here. All right. I'm going to post it here let's go back to the beginning. Oops. There we go. And let me post the results right here. All right, let me put it on this slide right here. All right, we'll put it right here just to be a better. Okay. All right. All right, let's bring it up on the screen here. The final results here. Let me stretch it out here so you guys can see. All right. Okay, here we go. All right. Who's behind the Minstrels? Is Candace Owens correct with her conclusion in terms of the Minstrels? Well, we got at least 400 votes. 93% says she's correct. 7% says no. So overwhelmingly guilty. Throw away the key. Yeah, family. We got, we're good. We're good. Well, family, I appreciate you guys for participating tonight. And let me get back over to here. Really appreciate you guys for participating tonight. Not sure if my brother, Brian Scholar, was in the building or is still in the building. If he is, I'll drop the link if you want to jump on. If not, we'll connect tomorrow. But if you are in the building, I'll drop this link. But while we do this, let me see here. I'm going to say this to you, family. Thank you guys for your love and support. And we got a lot more to cover. And matter of fact, I know I mentioned Agatha Christie. Let me show you that to you guys real quick before we call it a night. All right, let me show you, because I did mention Agatha Christie, and I do like to show sources when I mention them. So let's go ahead and bring Agatha Christie into here. Let me create a new slide here. All right. Let me import this image. All right, let's see. All right. This is Agatha Christie's original cover. And this book sold over 100 million copies, well over 100 million copies. It says it broke all kinds of records. Let me pull it here. All right. And I'll add another one here. Let me see if I could bring Dr. Doolittle in here. I got other images. Matter of fact, I'll incorporate an image that you guys probably be familiar with and didn't know that they had this as well. Let's see here. Oh, bear with me one second. Insert. Oh, that's weird. All right, let me see if I could do this here. StreamYard's starting to act up, family, so I may not be able to do this. All right. All right, I'm putting Dr. Doolittle's image here. And I think it's one more image here. If not, we'll be good. Let me see if I can pull it from here. And let me see. Let me try one more. And I see Berean Scholar in the back, so I'm gonna bring him in a second. All right, let me see if I can get this. Let's see, all right, I may have it in another spot. All right, let me see here. All right. I believe I have it here. Let me just, I have a screen print of one of the quotes from there. And basically, you know, it's basically trying to show how to show us how to transition over to being white. I thought I had it here. I don't have it here. I thought I did. I don't know what I did with the screen print, but I'll just share. I'll just share what I have, starting with the Agatha Christie. But while I do that, let me bring Berean Scholar here. He's been waiting in the back here. And then we'll call it a wrap, family. All right, let's see here. I'm going to say peace and blessings to you, my brother, Berean Scholar in the building.
Peace and blessing, brother. I've been sitting here just feasting off the information, brother.
Oh man, I didn't know you was in the back, man. My apologies, man.
Oh no. That's been good. It's been good. I've been sitting here just wrapping it in, making notes. You know, I'm always, always in the putting more tools in my repertoire. You never stop learning.
Oh, I appreciate it. And family, as you see on your screen, you see that the original Agatha Christie book title, it was changed later. This is stuff, this is stuff that's not shared.
Wow, that's new to me.
You know, I mean, it's so much out there. You know, so when you even with with the Dr. Dolittle, and I thought I had the screenshots for it, but pretty much in a nutshell, the subplot of this particular book here is an African prince who wants to marry a white princess. And so, after, acknowledging their difference, right, their differences, right, of being in a different race, Dr. Dolittle bleaches him white, which gave off a burning brown paper smell. So basically in a nutshell, promoting what? Bleaching our skin, and that our complexion is not accepted. And when you start looking at the impact of that, the effects of that, being taught as kids that something is wrong with our skin and we have to brighten it or try to have a desire to be like them, so to speak. And also, in order to be successful, you have to marry into them.
Mm.
So, basically Caucasians should be highly desired, according to Dr. Dolittle's book, by our people, and that our people should aspire to be like them to gain their approval, to gain their acceptance, even to the point of bleaching our own skin, basically, forfeiting our identity just to embrace what they have created, or standards that they created, the baseline they created to say, this is beautiful. And this is what success looks like. Go ahead, Berean Scholar.
Forcing us to destroy the image of the Most High that He created us in.
Absolutely.
Because in the beginning, He created us in His image, and they refuse to accept the fact that we are the original, and in that mind twist they put on us is continuing to corrupt our like you said, people bleaching their skin, straightening their hair, coloring their eyes, which we are created in His image.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Which is sad. It's sad. It's really sad. And that's basically the witchcraft, the spell casting that they have done to us. And some of us, even when we, many that know the truth, still reject it.
Amen.
That's a heck of a drug, I tell you.
A heck of a drug, and it's almost like though the boy, resisting the fruitile. Once you assimilate it, and most of us have been assimilated and we don't even know it.
Yeah, man. And I'm dropping in another image here, right? The game Monopoly. I'm not sure if you guys can see this. Let me do this again. Y'all see that in the center there? Parker Brothers, the people that brought us created Monopoly. Look at the version of Monopoly that they had here. 10 little what? You see the impact going all the way back to the Tucker and Son, the book, the songs that he created. Look at the impact. This was common. 10 little N-words, 10 little N-words.
And they have the audacity to say they have black fatigue because we have to complain about rights and things being taken from us when everything in this country points back to their hatred toward us.
Yeah. Well,
wow.
That's the playbook, right? The playbook is to make themselves as a victim so that way they have no accountability. Demonize the victim and victimize the perpetrator.
Yep.
Because that's what we're hearing right now is that the Caucasian or the white man is a victim of racism. Get rid of DEI, even though we all know that who is the real people who is really benefiting from it.
And our vice president had the nerves to get up and say that no longer you can be ashamed to say that you're white. When has that ever happened in this country?
Exactly. So family, there you have it. We're going to get ready to wrap up here. Berean Scholar, just let the people know about your channel. He's doing some great work. Really appreciate everyone helping his channel grow. He's starting to his numbers and everything is picking up. He's doing some very, very, very good work over there, doing some great interviews. Oh, let me just get this super chat here. I didn't see this here. Andrea Jackson, I didn't know this about blackface. This is sad. Really appreciate it. Thank you. Really appreciate family. Let me bring her back up here. Andrea Jackson, just show us some love for the contribution tonight. And thank everyone from, let me bring some of the other ones back up. Mfaya, thank you. Brother Charles Miller, thank you. Really appreciate it. And Vincent Ali, let's show all of them some love for tonight. Really appreciate it. And Berean Scholar, any final words? And go ahead and tell them about your channel. Post inside the chat, but any final words you want to share in that regards as well?
I'm just honored to be a part of this great awakening that's happening with our people, and to be a part of the effort that you're doing, Pastor. Of being one of the many people who are just sharing the truth, no matter what. We've been inundated with all these lies and all these stigmatism that have been put on us. We need the truth spread, and for all the wonderful people in the chat that partner with your channel and partner with my channel. Berean Scholar is the name of the channel. being a Berean person, which you found in Acts chapter 11, verse 17. The Bereans were more excellent than the Thessalonians, that they sucked the word out. And every time you hear teaching like we hear tonight, go seek these information out, seek the word out, and make sure you know that things that have been said are true. So we can not only be told what we need to hear, or told what we should receive. We know what the Most High has. We know what the word says. Thus says the Most High. So guys, thank you for helping us spread this truth, because we need to flood the zone with truth, because there's so many lies out there. And just seeing all this stuff, like the young lady said, it turns my stomach too. It turns my stomach, but we got to say it, because nobody's saying it.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And with that being said, really appreciate it, Berean Scholar. With that being said, family, thank you guys for jumping on. I know it was a unscheduled live, but hey, most of you guys don't have to work tomorrow, so might as well take advantage of you being available. So really appreciate it. Share the video, and don't just make a comment inside the chat. Go inside the comment section of the video and post a comment there, because that's going to help with the reachability of the video, the impressions, because they're doing it. When I say this platform is doing a lot, suppressing the numbers and things like that, trying to suppress the reachability of the video. But when you, of course, like you guys have done, posted comments in the comment section, hitting that like button, hitting that notification button. But the key is, after this live concludes, on your way out, just go to the comment section. Just drop a comment there. It could be a simple comment, but just drop a comment there. And that's going to help bypass some of the things that is being done with the algorithms. If you already subscribed, double check to make sure that you are still subscribed, because that's another thing that they've been doing. They've been unsubscribing subscribers. And on the record, I know for sure that they have unsubscribed since the duration of this channel well over 25,000 subscribers. So I know we just hit the milestone of 100,000 a month ago, but guess what? We would have hit that number easily about a year ago had it not been for some of the things that they've been doing to this channel. So with that being said, family, in the words of Yahweh that he gave to Moses in Exodus chapter 14, verse 13 and 14, the words that he gave to the Israelites was at a dead end, was seen to be a dead end. And they began to panic. They began to complain. And so Moses went to the Father seeking help, instructions on what he can do to mitigate the situation. And the Most High simply told him, tell the Israelites these words: fear ye not, stand still, see the salvation of Yahweh. These Egyptians, these commander and thief, you know what I mean? These people that are in office now, and even those that was in office prior, these systems of men will never have power over us again. That's even dealing with the religion, the Christianity, Catholicism, Judaism, Islam. None of those man-made systems will have power over us ever again. The Most High will fight for us. But here's the kicker. We have to learn how to hold our peace. In other words, the Hebrew word there is charash, which means be quiet, calculated silence. Can't go back, can't stay here, keep moving forward. Shalom.
Listen, Genesis chapter 11, verse 10 explains the genealogy of Shem. Shem was a black man in Africa. If you repeat this back, Genesis 14, verse 13, Abraham steps on the scene. Being a descendant of Shem, which is a fact, means Abraham too was black. Abraham, born in the city of a black man, called Nimrod, grandson of Ham. Ham had 4 sons. One was named Canaan. Here, let me do some explaining. Abraham, Isaac was Jacob had 12 sons, for real, and these were the children of Israel. According to Genesis chapter 10, these were the children of Israel. According to Genesis chapter 10.